Tonight, could there be a new Stanley Cup winner? I'm not saying it, but it's going to be one of two teams eventually, and let's hope it's ours tonight. And to talk about the Vegas Golden Knights game versus the Florida Panthers, Dave Goucher joins us. He is, in my opinion, the voice of the Golden Knights. Hi, how are you, Dave?
I'm great, guys. It's I say days like this, like the hours can't tick away fast enough.
Oh, I know.
Like it's not 5 o'clock. What time is it? It's not close to 5 o'clock yet.
It's not. It's going to be the longest day ever.
Oh my gosh!
How are you guys feeling being part of the organization? Are you hopeful going in tonight? So many questions.
Yeah, I think so, Mercedes. Look, they should be a pretty confident group, right? They've done a lot of good all year long. Number one seed in the West. Team record for points, tied the team record for wins, and they beat 3 really good teams to get to this point where they're, one win away from winning the Stanley Cup. So, Shane Knighty and I talked to Bruce Cassidy yesterday for our little weekly radio show the team does, and it was our turn to do it yesterday. And they seem like a confident group. I asked Bruce, I said, this is yesterday, I said, are you going to sleep tonight? And he said, yeah, I think so.
Really? I mean, how can you sleep?
And I'm like, I know I didn't sleep.
Do you think the players are sleeping? Do you think they're so just relaxed? The confidence they have when you watch them play, it radiates through the television. Do you think all the players are sleeping last night?
I would hope so, JC. But look, and the other thing is you do have to talk about the elephant. Like, this is not just a game in the middle of November tonight.
Yeah.
So I think they did address that yesterday. They'll have another meeting at City National this morning. But you'd hope they just kind of, players are really creatures of habit. Game days, non-game days. The nice thing about, being out west is a ton of good things, but the 5 o'clock start tonight, there's no morning skate. There's really no more questions, no more media. It's just go play the game. So, yeah, I would hope they got a little bit of rest last night.
Who should we be watching tonight on both teams? Who are the players to really keep your eye on?
Well, I think for the Golden Knights part of it, Mercedes, the good part is you just don't know from night to night who might be the guy that pulls through. I mean, Chandler Stevenson had 2 goals in Game 4. William Karlsson had another goal. I always, just for the entertainment value alone, love to look at Mark Stone. And if he's, when he scores again in November on a Tuesday, he loves it, right? Could you imagine if he scored tonight?
Oh my God!
What that would be like. So I think you always look to your leaders and your leadership in games of this magnitude, and they've got a lot of those guys, right? From Stone to Pietrangelo to Martinez, and you can go right on down the line that have really helped lead this team all season long. That being said, the great part about this team is night to night, you never really know who's going to break through.
Well, I noticed that Pietrangelo in this series specifically has really been a target of the Panthers. They really are going after him. Why him? What is going on there?
Yeah, because if you're on the other team, you would love to wear down the other team's best defense.
Yeah.
Right. So that you remember back in round 2 where Leon Draisaitl and Pietrangelo slashed him, got a 1-game suspension because I think he had enough of getting run at. So I think that's part of it. If you're scouting against the Golden Knights, you want to make him pay a price every time he goes back to play the puck. Him and Martinez, not just them, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shea Theodore, don't make it easy for them to go back, play pucks, and get moving up the ice. So I think it's in a way maybe kind of a testament to how good a player he is, that he doesn't seem very affected by it. I mean, outside of snapping against Draisaitl, it seems like he gets through it just fine.
We just spoiled hearing you and Shane call the game. Would you hear a bias from the announcers when they're calling a Golden Knights game?
It's funny, JC. I don't listen to a lot of it, but I do read it. Well, because we're at the games, right? Mm-hmm. So we're there. So I'm not listening to it. I don't know. I get it because we're all here in the Valley watching it through Golden Knights tinted glasses. Mm-hmm. So I understand all that. I've got some messages from my friend Mercedes to that ilk that she doesn't like this at all.
I text them. I'm like, where are you guys?
What is going on?
As an announcer,
I get it. I hear it. I hear it. I don't know. I don't want to say I hear it coming out of the TV because I don't listen to a lot of it, but I hear it just in the atmosphere.
Do you think some of it is a bias, or do you think as an announcer, are you like told by the television company and producers of, okay, Vegas is destroying Florida right now, kind of sell the audience outside of Las Vegas, tell the audience in New York and North Carolina why they need to keep watching the game or tune into the next game.
I think, JC, if it's a lopsided game, like let's take, for instance, 7-2 game 2, right? It was 4-0 at some point. You've got to try to find a way to hold the audience in there. The last thing you want is, this is over. Click. Yeah. So I think that's probably part of it. I will say, having dabbled in that world of the national TV thing over the last little while, I could care less who wins. I really could. I don't know if I don't think these guys, you want a good game and a good series, but I'll just speak for myself. When I've done it, I really don't. What you don't want is a 4-0 game halfway through. Then you're like, oh, now what? Now you've got to be strategic and try to figure out ways to keep people from grabbing the clicker.
What is your take going into tonight? We're one game away, but I just don't feel like Florida's going to go down without a fight. What are your predictions for tonight?
Well, I mean, I've got a lot of good feelings about it, Mercedes. My thought before the series was the Golden Knights should win.
Yeah,
they're the better team. Excuse me. Now, whether that's tonight, I was talking to a friend on the ride over here. The last thing I want to do, but more importantly, the team wants to do, is to get on a plane again and fly back to Florida. So I think with them having the opportunity to wrap this up here at home, I do expect them to do that. Now, that being said, Florida was down 3-1 to Boston in the first round, the greatest regular season team ever, and they didn't lose another game.
Oh, they were down 3-1 at one point?
Yeah.
They were down 3-1.
Let's not bring that up.
Yeah. Well, but I did say, we were talking about this yesterday, but that's 3 rounds ago now.
Yeah.
I don't know how healthy Matthew Tkachuk is. It doesn't sound like he's very healthy at all. Aaron Ekblad's one of their best defensemen, if not their best. It seems like he's kind of hanging on, fighting through injury. I think everyone now is probably banged up in some fashion, but there's levels of banged up. You hear everything with Tkachuk, from sternum to shoulder to whatever. Ekblad, same thing, shoulder maybe. So Bruce Cassidy always talks about breaking the other team's will. And at some point in the playoff series, that happens. Now, that could be in a 7th game. It could be in a 5th game. But, you give the other team a reason to say, the heck with this. It's not going to work out. And hopefully, what I keep coming back to, Mercedes, is the atmosphere in that building.
Oh, it's insane.
I can't wait to see it. We were talking about this yesterday. There's a bunch of us that picked up our whole lives 6 years ago to come out here to be a part of this. And you're like, I'm not sure how this is going to go. They're probably not going to be good for a few years.
Look at this.
And look at this. But now it's, that now it's real.
Yeah.
Now they have a chance to win.
Before we're looking at Ovechkin and Steve saying,
I
oh boy, I don't know about this. But now it's a reality. And just going back to Boston quickly, were you there when they won the cup in 2011? You used to be the voice of the Bruins.
Yeah.
What is that feeling when the team, after all that hard work, finally gets it?
Yeah, I heard somebody say, Sean Thornton, who was on that team, who's a good friend of Shane's, and I know very well too, he said, and I don't have kids, but he said, other than your kids being born, it's the greatest day of your life.
Wow.
And,
I just got goosebumps.
Because these guys worked so hard for so long. And we don't see all of it from when they were kids to whether they played in college, junior, and worked their way up through the minors. And you do it all for a moment like this. And so that was hard to believe. It was 12 years ago now. It was complete chaos. They won it in Vancouver. I was doing the radio for the Bruins, so was able to call it, and lucky enough just to kind of get down into the locker room. And it's a mixture of champagne and beer and people, and there's this big silver Stanley Cup right in the middle of it. It's bedlam. And I was talking to a friend the other day. They had the parade back there was still the biggest parade they've ever had in Boston. They've had a lot of winning, obviously, over the last 20 years. But I think they had 1 million or 1.2 million people at the parade.
Oh my gosh!
So look, you can't help but think about what that might look like here. But there's still a lot of work to be done.
There's a game to play.
They still got to win something.
Yeah.
They still got to finish the job here.
Do you, as an announcer, when you go into a big game, do you have the call in your mind?
I gave it a thought, JC. So when the Bruins won it that morning, I kind of thought about it a little bit. It's funny now. I didn't think about it much and that was Vancouver. That was another back and forth, and we didn't have the 2 days off between the travel days like we do now. So the morning of that game, I thought about it a little bit, which was in Boston. Now, it's been this way for a long time. You get a duck boat parade of your own. That's what you ride on through the city.
Oh, okay.
So I thought about it that morning a little bit because you start to get texts from people. Good luck tonight. But you have to it was same thing, was same exact deal. 5 o'clock game out west, right? 5 o'clock game in Vancouver. So there's no skate, but I was climbing the walls of the hotel. I'm like, I got to get out of here. So I went and grabbed a coffee and sat down. Vancouver's a gorgeous, when the weather's good, it's a gorgeous city. Sat down by the water and just kind of gave it a little thought, but I'm not a fan of scripting out a paragraph and a half. I'll give you an example. I watch golf. I like to play, and I watched Nick Taylor, the guy from Canada, win the PGA thing in Canada the other day. And Jim Nance, who is awesome, said glorious and free. He was the first guy to win their national open in Canada, I think, in 59 years. And I think he always says the right thing. I don't know how the hell he does it. But so it's a long way of saying, I think you have to give it a little. I'm not good enough to just wing it to give it up to chance. So if I was doing this tonight, I would have thought about something relatively intelligent. I hope by now.
Oh man, I think
It's exciting.
The game obviously needs to be won, but if the Golden Knights do get to raise that cup, and Mark Stone would be the first one, who do you think should be the second person?
Well, my thought is probably Jack Eichel.
Yeah.
And usually it goes in the order of seniority. But like Alex Petrangelo's won it. Alec Martinez has won it
Twice.
Yeah. Jonathan Quick's won it twice. Bill Kessel's not in the lineup, but he would be out there. Obviously, he's won it twice. And it's just kind of my thought that somebody like Jack, who had never been in the playoffs ever before this year, and now I think he's second on the team in playoff scoring. And I kind of think. I've tried not to go that far down the road, to be honest.
I know. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
I feel like I want to knock on any wood you can find. But it's a chaotic scene when that happens. I mean, and it's different because when I was around the Bruins in 2011, it was on the road and it was chaos.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I can't imagine what it would be like if and when it ever were to happen, and maybe it would look like.
Well, yeah, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I think we're all cautiously optimistic going into the game tonight. Dave, I could literally talk to you all day long about this and many other subjects. You're probably one of the most interesting guys I know. And thank you for always taking the time to come on the show. Can I just sit by you and have you do play-by-play for tonight's game?
I told him before we came on, JC was like, where do you watch the games from? I said, we're lucky enough somebody lets us, we loiter, and we just, whoever takes us into their suite, we watch from there. So
can you just put us in a hockey bag and carry us? This is just my equipment.
Carry hockey bag over the shoulder. Seems like a large.
Let's do some bootleg stream of you and Shane calling the game tonight.
I know.
And is Shane jealous that you're now one step closer to becoming the guest that has appeared on the show the most?
No, he probably is. Yeah, because I think he's the record holder at 645.
I know, but you're coming in there at 620. Yeah. We just got to get you a few more times in here solo.
To stop inviting him, slowly climb the ladder.
I love it. Thanks so much for joining us today. And game, the puck drops at 5 o'clock tonight.